Hi, welcome to this edition of Newsmakers. Hope you enjoy the program. Hi, I'm here today with Megan McCaffrey, Chief Communications Officer for RCAP.
Yes.
And Massachusetts serves all of Worcester County. Some great programs, and wanted to learn a little bit more about programs that affect all our viewers and viewers throughout the region. Two in particular that you were involved with. One involves housing, which is a real important issue. That's one of the most critical issues, I think, facing us as a country. Low income and elderly and disabled. Can you tell us a little bit?
Well, thank you, Matt. So yes, we offer safe, affordable housing for people in Worcester County. We cover the entire Worcester County area. We are the Worcester County affiliate of the Regional Housing Network of Massachusetts. And through that program, we have a number of housing and homelessness prevention programs. Our Housing Consumer Education Center is the front door to our housing program. It is a opportunity for us to do client intake. We will assess the folks that come to the organization, assess what their needs are, and then make determinations on what kinds of programs they may or may not be eligible for.
So if somebody who's watching us today is elderly, has a disability, or how do you define low income? Their first move is to do what?
So when people come to our Housing Consumer Education Center intake, we have intake actually throughout Worcester County. We have locations from Athol all the way down to Blackstone Valley, with the list of all of our information on our website. And when folks come in, we will ask them some questions about their situation, their income, and determine, like I said, what programs they may or may not be eligible for. We also have financial counseling, credit repair courses, and first-time homebuyer classes. So we might refer them to one of the many courses or workshops that we offer. And then, depending on what we think they may or may not be eligible for, we might refer a finance program, which might assist them for maybe first and last. What we find is that a lot of people just ran into a bump in the road, where it's a loss of income, an illness, something like a car accident could set a family back, and if you don't have that buffer, it can really turn your whole life upside down. And a lot of the times, these are folks that have never had to ask for assistance before. So they're embarrassed, or they don't know where to turn. And so there's a perception that there's people that are working the system that are abusing housing programs, but it's really not the case at all.
It's a very small,
very, very, very small percentage, if at all. And you know, we are also managing that as an organization. So we do the intake, we assess what their needs might be. As far as elderly and disabled and family housing, we manage 10 properties throughout Worcester County, from Athol all the way down to the Blackstone Valley and Worcester and some other areas that are elderly, disabled, and a couple of affordable family housing apartments. And they're wonderful properties managed by RCAP Solutions. And you know, it's a way for folks as they get older to be able to age in their community. And while they're not assisted living, it is an environment where people are safe. There's different options available to them, like transportation and some other services that are available to them at our properties, so that if folks have needs figuring out paperwork for insurance or things like that, and they don't have people that can assist them, we have counselors that can help them with that.
That's great, because that's a real, and you brought up a good point. You know, people don't like to ask for help. But there are times in our lives where sometimes, through no fault of our own, you're just at that point where you need some help. And paperwork for things like this can be daunting to any of us.
It can be, absolutely.
And so it's important to know that your organization, people can go on, it's RCAP. Solutions online, or .org, I'm sorry, online, and find the closest location for them to go to or talk to,
Mm-hmm.
give a call and get some information about how to access some of those programs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have a water program that, along with housing, water and accessibility to clean water is one of those little things that drives me. I think that's going to be a big problem. In the
Absolutely.
future. And you deal with that a little bit in smaller communities.
We do. We have another side of our CAP Solutions is our rural community resources, which is our CAP Solutions is a national, we're an affiliate of a national program called RCAP. That's where our name comes from. And it's the Rural Community Assistance Partnership. We're the Northeast affiliate. And we have highly skilled technical assistance providers from Maine all the way down to Pennsylvania that work with, and also Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, I want to mention as well, that work with small rural communities to assess their needs. We assist them with water, wastewater, and other infrastructure programs. And we're not putting pipes in the ground, but what we do is we will work with the community to assess what needs they might have or what their situation is. And then we can help them find funding for different types of programs. And we have some great success stories, but rural communities don't have the big budgets and they don't have those
staff
resources
to do it.
that larger cities and larger communities do. So we assist them
Oh,
with
that's
those kinds
great.
of needs.
That's great. And it's the 50th anniversary this year, right?
Yes, it is.
This is the new year, and here we are, and it's your 50th anniversary.
2019 is our 50th anniversary. We come from small roots. We originally were called the Rural Housing Improvement. We were based in Winchendon, and we had a small self-help home program that we came from, and so our roots are in the rural community and in housing, and from that we've built
Really
the
exploded.
organization
Yeah.
that we have now.
So to wrap up, we have, if an individual, because cities and towns, I'm sure, it's a different way to connect with the water program, but if an individual wants to find out if they're eligible or how to get help from you, they should go to your website?
Go to our website.
Which is, so I don't botch it up again?
www.rcapsolutions.org.
Okay.
Our phone number, we have a 800 number, so it's 800-488-1969, which is the year that we were
Oh,
established.
there we go.
And we have other programs too that I didn't get a chance to mention. It's all lined up on our website, so.
But we'll have to have you
take a
come
look.
back sometime
Thank
and
you
talk
very
about
much.
those too.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back soon. Hi, I'm here today with Worcester County Sheriff Lou Evangelitis. Thank you for coming and sharing this time with us. Wanted to talk about a new program that you just started working with women in self-defense, I believe. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I've been sheriff 8 years now, believe it or not, and it's been just the most extraordinary job of my life, and blessed to be with an incredible department of dedicated people on public safety. And in our first term, there was a lot we had to accomplish. A lot of things just almost like just turning the department around, frankly, and focusing a lot on public safety and professionalism, and had to do things like establish a policy that had never been established before of never accepting campaign contributions from employees or their families. And then trying to raise the hiring standards to the highest in the state of Massachusetts and attracting the best and brightest people we could find, and rebuilding the education department and the whole culture of the sheriff's department. And I feel like we've made tremendous strides in those 6 years. And during those 6 years, we had a lot of new projects come into the jail. For example, we started an organic farming program where the inmates grow fruit and mostly vegetables, various types of vegetables. We've been able to distribute 40,000 pounds of food to food shelters around the community, as well as feed the jail over $30,000 worth of food. And the whole program cost us $460.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty amazing, and the inmates
Nice return on
benefit.
investment. Oh, I was going to
Yeah,
say,
it's tremendous.
What a productive thing to do.
So,
yourself.
so we had things like that going. We have 2 different dog programs where we work with shelters and we help inmates live with the best behaved inmates. We have dogs in that area where they actually help train them to get them adoptable because they have slight behavioral issues from a shelter. So they live with our inmates. We have that program. We have a dog program that we adopt dogs from shelters and we train them, and they live with an officer as a family pet, but they work for the people of Worcester County narcotics detection dogs, bloodhounds, tremendous success stories, all for free, by the way. Everything I've talked about is free. The dogs, they provide us the training for the inmates and the food. The veterinary care is donated. So all this has been done for really no money, but incredible. And I could go on and on. But the point being is that as second term started, we thought we needed I wanted a new initiative, something we could do that would be special, take another step forward. And it all came about, unfortunately, in the incredible tragedy of Vanessa Marcotte, which I'm sure you may remember, but just to remind the readers, me being from Holden, I went to Wachusett Regional High School and represented 7 towns in the legislature along with your good Lieutenant Governor for many years together. We worked together. I was very close to the town of Princeton, and she was killed. She came home she was living out of state. She came home for the weekend, went for a run, and never came home. And it was found out later that she was brutally murdered, and the Marcotte started a foundation as a way to kind of remember Vanessa, keep her memory alive, started road races, started doing things in the community to help, and then it just kind of hit us when we started a conversation with them is, we're public safety, we're the Sheriff's Department, I have 2 daughters myself, and this hit real close to home, and I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could start a program with the Marcotte Foundation teaching self-defense to women across this county and do it for basically, a free of charge event and have people come out to it. And in a 2-hour program, could we put something together? So over months of working with the Marcotte Foundation and putting it out to our staff, and what we really wanted and what we've had evolve in just 2 sessions now. We've already gotten to where we are, and I'm really excited about it. But what we had was an incredible response from our women correctional staff. They all wanted to be part of this. And we had about 10 to 12 on any given night, but they've gone through the training. They are taking over this program. And what it involves is this. It's in 2 hours. We are working with the Marcotte Foundation. They help us publicize the event. We get a location, and then we put it out there for the community. We have approximately 6 to 10 officers at any given night will be there to do the training. So we try to limit the class to about 4 or 5 people per trainer. Okay. And what we do in those 2 hours, and I guess I'd summarize it by saying this. Any woman in this county, especially those who are out and about in the community, runners, people that find themselves walking, people maybe on their own, they may need to feel a little more secure, maybe have some skills that could help them, because let's be honest, it's so unfair. It is not fair that women have to go through that extra security that sometimes men don't have to think about. The unfortunate reality is that's the world we live in. Yep. So we can either deal with it or we can ignore it. And I think the way to deal with it is to provide these type of services. And what we do in those 2 hours is you will come in, and as the women say who leave, I walked in here 2 hours ago, not really having a good sense of how to protect myself. And I walked out of here knowing that I could probably survive the worst situation, survive. If you want to learn self-defense, you might need to take hours and months of training, but a survival. And what it's about is really just a couple of things. Number one, we start off with a quick presentation, the Marcotte Foundation, of course, we talk about, and then we do a quick presentation on really situational awareness. And what I mean by that is we train people. You have to train yourself to be aware at any given time. Like, for example, in this room, if a fire happened, we want people to know where the exits are. Like, pay attention. Yep. So we want people, when you leave, provide you with certain apps to use, notifications, let people know where you're going, simple things. Also, don't have 2 earbuds in at any given time.
Like crazy. Yeah, we see a woman walking down the street, because I walk every day, and I'll even wave, and they're looking down at a text, and they've got the things, and they could never hear anybody coming up from behind them. They could never hear a car screeching that there was a...
Exactly.
And it's like, especially when women, it's bad enough with anybody.
That's
You see a lot of people do that. But when it's a woman, it's like, you're a target. I know you don't like to look at yourself.
That's right.
But women are targets.
They are. It's a sad reality. If you look at the statistics, they're off the charts when it comes to the women versus men, when it comes to domestic violence, when it comes to being violent crimes in the community, when it comes to abductions, when it comes to sexual, it's terrible. It's so horrible. So what we try to do is provide those. So at the beginning, we offer that type of education, very brief, and then we break down into sessions, and we teach the survival skills. If someone was to come up and choke you, for example, how do you get out of that? Well, there's simple moves you can make. You go up and break it, but you wouldn't know them just without having gone through some brief training. So I am so honored that our women correctional staff have stepped up in this role. We're partnering with the Marcotte Foundation. We're offering these self-defense, and I mean by survival skill courses. They teach you if someone grabs your hair, how to spin, move, and get out of it. If someone has a choke behind, all these different techniques. So I can't think of a better, really in a lot of ways, better program the sheriff could put on in light of the world we live in today than to partner with someone like the Marquardt Foundation, who just is dedicated to, unfortunately they can't change what happened to Vanessa, but what they can do is try to help this from never happening to any other woman. And that's what we're blessed to have, a partnership with the Marquardt Foundation and the Sheriff's Department. So just so you know how it works, we're going to put them on. Right now, we're starting off, maybe every quarter we'll do one. We did one in Vanessa's hometown in Princeton in November. And let me assure you, it filled up immediately. And in matter of fact, what happened was it filled up so fast, and then a few people didn't come. So we decided, how can we not have any empty spots? Because we have the training staff, and we want a certain number, usually about 30 to 35 women. So we started with the Marquardt Foundation having a very small donation, signing up $10, $15. You get a shirt. It's just a way to secure a spot in the class. So it's not to make money. It's just a way to make sure that we don't have wasted space.
That's right.
Because we had a waiting list for the last one. Just last week, we did it at the Westboro YMCA. And again, it filled up almost immediately, and we had a waiting list, and so many people came up to us. That's a really big Y. It's almost in Shrewsbury, you know? Yep. And so many people came up, especially the women at the Y, and said, what's going on? How can I get in? I didn't hear about it. So we're very excited. We have a commitment with the Marquardt Foundation, and if you just keep your eyes and ears open, hopefully you'll see a class that's out there, and you'll be able to sign up and learn these skills.
They can find out about the class on Facebook by connecting with you on Facebook?
We either have the Sheriff's Department, Lou Evangelitis, myself, and the Marquardt Foundation. All of us have social media, and we get it out there. And it'll be in your local papers. The Advocate covered it last time, a wonderful local paper that have been so good to this community, and they were out there. It'll be in the next issue.
Great, great. Well, thank you for all you're doing. It's sad that you have to do all this, but it is. It's true. It's a scary time, and thank you for that, and thank you for visiting with us again, and we'll be back soon. Well, hi, I'm here with Shrewsbury Fire Chief Jim Vona. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Wanted to talk a little bit today about something that's real important for everybody's safety, and that's fire alarms and detectors, smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, because you constantly hear about that becoming a big problem for people in the news, unfortunately.
Yep.
So wanted to talk about what you thought about when, where in a house or an apartment people should place detectors, how often. I mean, you hear every time the clock changes, that's when you should replace batteries if you're using batteries.
Yep.
What are the best ones to use? And maybe from somebody besides me, tell them, yes, this is really important to have in your home.
Well, smoke detectors, unfortunately, it's a bit of a complicated answer too, because homes from 1975 and back, you can use a battery-operated detector that doesn't have to be hardwired into the system. It's just a standalone alarm. I actually brought one. The new standard is a 10-year sealed battery. So it has an ion lithium battery in it that will last 10 years. At the end of the 10 years, you just throw the detector away. There's no way to change a battery. There's no space
all right. So
for
that
it.
takes that out of it, which is probably a good thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And this one happens to be a combination detector. There are a bunch of different manufacturers. We don't recommend one over the other.
Sure.
But we're finding that people are purchasing detectors online and so forth through Amazon and places like that. And they're not UL listed devices. So you have to have a certified listed device. So you should look to make sure that it's an approved device. In Massachusetts, it has to be an approved device.
Okay, from Underwriters Laboratories, so the UL.
Yep.
That's important
Yep.
because you want something that you're going to purchase that actually might work.
Right. And if it isn't, and we come to expect, even if it works perfectly fine, if it's not listed, it's not legal for us to sign off and approve it. And that usually happens on the transfer of a home, is when people change out the smoke detectors. Any detector now that's 10 years or older, even if it's has a hard wire and it still works, if they're 10 years old, they don't pass inspection.
So do you inspect homes every time that they're
Whenever
transferred?
there's a transfer of ownership of a home, we have to go in and
I didn't
inspect.
realize that.
And then for them to pass the papers, we have to inspect and then sign a certificate that they present that they're closing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's a
it
great
was
thing.
actually
That's a great
brought
thing.
about by the attorneys and the folks involved with real estate because they didn't want to transfer a property that was unsafe.
Sure, no,
basically.
that's a great thing. So, when you say hardwired, what does that mean?
Basically, it's powered through the electrical system in the house. They usually have a battery backup in them in case you lose power. But if you have a hardwired system, you can't replace it with battery operated. You have to keep at least the level that you have in the level of coverage that you have in the home. So if you have a hardwired system, like we have these guidance documents for all the different years. Unfortunately, there's a lot of different requirements, and it's based on the year that the house was built,
Oh,
basically.
okay.
Pre-1975, it's pretty much that was before the building code. So, but now, like the newer houses after 1996, well, from 75 to 96, you just had to have one on each level, and it had to be hardwired. Now, from 1996 on, you have to have them in the bedrooms as well. So the newer construction requires.
All right, so that's
more.
both smoke and fire, I mean, smoke and carbon monoxide.
That's just for smoke detectors. Carbon monoxide detectors, you can have battery operated, or you can have plug-in types with battery operated, or you can have the types, they have new ones that you can wire right into these existing systems. You would just have to replace out the entire system
Now,
at once.
It sounds like, but I want to ask you, a hardwire system is viewed as better than a battery system?
Yes, because you have two forms of power. So
Okay, okay. Because if you lose your electricity
Yep.
early in an event at your home,
yep,
there's still a way that it'll work?
yeah, battery backup. They're
Okay,
called.
okay,
So-
great.
And then there's a lot of smoke detectors out there that have the battery types. You put a 9-volt or a couple of C batteries in them. Unfortunately, what we find is folks get annoyed with the false alarms or actual alarms from cooking and so forth. Burn the toast and it goes off. They take the battery out and they never replace it. And
But you know it works, so you should just replace the battery.
yeah, yeah.
But people don't do that.
But a lot of times they just pull the battery out and then they forget to put it back in, and now you've lost your coverage
Oh,
there.
sure, okay. Oh, that's interesting. If you're not hardwiring, so if you have an older home,
Yep.
where should you place smoke and carbon monoxide?
To meet the requirements of law, you have to have them on every habitable level. So if you have a basement downstairs that you spend a regular amount of time doing some type of chores down there, or you have your washer and dryer down there, we pretty much require them everywhere except the crawl space.
Okay, okay.
Because crawl spaces are usually unheated, and the
Oh, sure.
smoke detectors under 40 degrees will malfunction from the cold. So
Okay.
give you
Oh,
a
that's
false
good to know
alarm.
too. That's
Yep.
good to know too. And where your washer and dryer is, I think, is pretty important because there are a lot of dryer fires in particular, correct?
Yep, people forget to clean out the pipe where the lint goes out and it gets clogged up, and we've had a couple dryer fires this past year as well, and fortunately we got to them early. And
And I don't think
limited
people think of
damage.
that, because it's a relatively expensive appliance. Well, that's not
Yep,
something you worry about, but dryer fires, I've heard a
yep,
lot about that.
yep. You gotta, you have the little the lint thing that
Yeah.
you pull out, but some still gets through there, and your pipe can get clogged up, so that should be cleaned out at least annually as well.
Okay, okay, yes, that's something that I don't think anybody does
Yeah.
on a regular basis. Remember to clean out and make sure that in bad weather that it's not blocked from the
Right.
outside.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
What else did you brought some things that I
Well,
know are available?
we have all kinds of help for you at fire headquarters. This particular one has the new regulations that started in 2016. That's the sealed battery type. And then this is a matrix that we have at the station too that talks about all the different years, which is required. We usually go through these with all the realtors and the folks that are selling their homes. Basically, this is one from the NFPA. You have to replace all your smoke detectors every 10 years. Doesn't matter if it's battery operated, hardwired. If they're 10 years old, they're expired. They're no good anymore.
Oh, well, that's good to know too. That's good to know for me. 'Cause I tend to, all right,
Yeah.
it goes on, well, I'm fine.
Yep.
Okay.
We ask people to test them every month, and once they go off, have a plan on how you're going to get out of the house.
Right.
And we have all this information up at the stations. It's all free. A lot of it is paid for through grants from the state and private donations that people make to the town. We invest that money back into public education programs in the schools and with seniors, and trying to reach everybody else as well.
That's
We
great.
have information from the fire marshal's office on carbon monoxide. It's colorless, odorless, and
And
dangerous. The silent killer, they call it. So.
All right. Well, thank you. These are all resources for anybody to pick up at the
Yep, come
fire
by
station.
fire station, 11
And,
Church Road.
And things that we don't think about, but are really something that we ought to be thinking about a little bit.
Yeah, we post messages regularly on our Facebook page, Shrewsbury, Mass. Fire Department. So you could look us up on Facebook too,
All right,
and
great.
message us. We answer questions for the public all the time, or just stop by the station anytime.
Great. Well, thank you for coming by.
All right, great. Good to see you
We'll have you
again.
back and talk about some more things that people should be thinking about at some later point.
Sounds
Appreciate
great.
you coming. Hoping that we treat everybody today with respect, tolerance, and kindness. Thanks for joining us. Till next time.